This is The Shift. Each week, we sit down with remarkable people to explore their stories and the moments that define them. I'm Luke Nesler, and today's guest is Tony Vincent, owner and founder of Ultimate Roofing. Tony, welcome to the van.
What's up, man? Glad to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
This is the infamous van.
Right there, you have a seat. This is the van. Yeah.
All right.
This is it, man. Do you want a water? We can get a bottle of water before we get.
I'll take a bottle of water.
Anthony, mine.
Ice throw.
Dude, make sure this thing's on mute. I was super excited to have you on. I've been wanting to do this with you. You've got a wild business. You're a runner and gunner like me. So I was like, man, he'll be an awesome guest. So
I'm glad you considered me, man. It was there was like a month or two where scheduling conflicts.
Yeah, it's all good. That's why we record a lot of these shows. So I was glad to have you on. I was telling you a little bit before we jumped in. So the premise of this show, The Shift, is talking to people that have done incredible things, because I have a firm belief that anybody that's done anything incredible has gotten to that stage and has built that incredible thing because we're good at overcoming adversity. We get punched in the face. We run into block walls, things that would decimate normal people, make them maybe stay where they're at, stay miserable.
Yeah.
And people like us use that as a shifting point. They're like, you know what, I'm miserable in this career, or I just got, somebody close to me passed away, or I just went through this divorce, and they use that as fuel to change their life. So part of this show is to share incredible stories like yours, but also to inspire people that are going through some really hard shit that, hey man, like, it's not just, what I've noticed on this show is it's not just one thing. Like, every guest doesn't just have one hardship they went through. It's one after another after another. It's a series. Yeah. So, this show is rooted in that. So, for those that don't know you, Tony Vincent, owner, founder of Ultimate Roofing. Give us the mile-high view of who Tony Vincent is.
Okay, so I've lived in West Virginia for about 12 years now.
Okay.
I have Ultimate Roofing, so I own Ultimate Roofing. I own Ultimate Equipment Rentals and Supply, Ultimate Properties, and Ultimate Tree Service.
Nice.
So I have four businesses, local West Virginia. The overview of the roofing is about 5 states. So
it's crazy. It's a massive business. When you and I first started working together, you told me the scale of your business, and I'm a business nerd. I geek out over that stuff.
Yeah.
I'd rather talk about that than sports. Like, I just love business. So when you told me what you had built, and you founded this from scratch.
Started out of the blue, man. Just me. So yeah, I'm the only owner on the Ultimate Roofing.
So 12 years. What's your background? Where did you come from?
So I was born and raised San Diego, California. So never left. So never left California. And then when I was 18, I joined the Navy.
Okay.
So again, never left California, man. Surfing every day, had like flip flops and board shorts on and tank top. And I remember that the day I landed in Great Lakes, Illinois, it was January 28th.
Okay.
And when I landed, the guy literally was like, "This is the worst blizzard we've had in 8 years." So it was like, I had to do that for 9 weeks, marching in the snow. And then from there, went to Meridian, Mississippi, and did my sea school. That's where they pick like your designation, where you're going to go. And I did not want to go to the East Coast, man. Something about it. I was super young.
Yeah.
So I didn't really know a lot about much about the East Coast whatsoever. I thought, this is stupid, but I thought the East Coast grew food for the West Coast. Like, that's all I thought it was. Like, you're going to go to places like, Virginia, they're just like growing corn, for avocados or something, and just giving them to like populated cities. That's what I thought. So I'm like, I don't want to go to Virginia and like chew on straw and like have to wear overalls. So I begged the guy, I go, "Please, man, please send me back to California." So he put me back on Coronado Island, thank God, California. So I did my 4 years there. And my job in the Navy didn't really translate that well to like outside world. So backing up a little bit, growing up, my dad had rental properties. So I just missed like this little era of like video games and tablets. Like I didn't have my first cell phone until I was like 18.
All right.
So, you know, I just missed it. So like every weekend I would go and like have to do HVAC stuff. And I put my first roof on when I was 12. You know, I was doing like foundation stuff. Like my dad was like, it was a hot tar mopped roof also. So when I was 12, I was up on a roof, man. It was like Shawshank Redemption, you know, like just mopping hot tar on one of our rental properties.
Wow.
And then, you know, at the end of it, my dad's pouring gasoline. It's a different time. You know? Pouring gasoline on your kid, but it's a different era, man. But you learned a lot. You know what I mean? Like I just knew only construction. And then when I was like 16, I got a job, High Desert Builders, and I was building houses from the ground up, doing foundation, concrete, framing. So I just, you know, from construction with my dad, from construction, my first job, to going in the Navy, I was in aviation supply. So it didn't really like, I ordered parts for helicopters. You know what I mean? Like that's, when it got out, it didn't really translate that well to like a job.
Yeah.
So I started looking around, called my buddy, and he, at the time, he met a girl while we were in California, and she was from West Virginia.
Okay.
So they ended up moving out to West Virginia, and he calls me up and he goes, "Hey man, I'm out here building houses in West Virginia.
Did you know?
You should come out here."
Did you know West Virginia was a state? I only thought it was Virginia.
I think that was the first time I've ever said the word West Virginia.
Yeah.
So I was like, West Virginia, why would I do that?
Yeah.
And then I got a lot of flack from people because I think I called it Virginia for about 8 months. So I'm like, yeah, when I moved to Virginia, and everybody's like, you mean West Virginia? And it was a hard little distinction there, man, but I figured it out.
Yeah.
And I came down here, loved it, man, loved it. And I think you can do things like that when you're young. So thank God everything worked out the way it did, because like, you know, when you're young like that, I didn't have no kids.
Right.
I wasn't married.
So did you meet your wife in West Virginia?
Yeah.
Okay.
So she was from, what is that? Not Fairmont, but basically Fairmont.
Yeah.
It's there's one of these little side cities.
Like North Marion, like Barrackville area.
Barrackville.
Okay.
So yeah, she's like from Barrackville area.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's from here. So
Okay.
again, I think she fares better here than I do. Because I think you're from here. It's a little different. I think you're like a product from where you're from.
Yeah.
So I still am not used to the cold, man. I just cannot get used to it.
Yeah.
So, you know, she's out there just wheeling the trash cans at the side of the road when it's like, you know, 20 degrees, 30 degrees. And she seems fine.
Yeah.
But then we go places like the Bahamas, man. And I'm like putting suntan oil on my skin. You know what I mean? Because that's where I'm from.
Right.
So I deal great with the heat. So
Yeah.
I never burn. And, you know, she's got like an egg timer with a big flower hat. And she's applying every 30 minutes, you know, and she'll burn. She burns quick. So she's definitely from West Virginia.
For sure.
Very fair skin.
Yeah.
So my buddy calls me. I moved to West Virginia. I don't even think this company is even around anymore. It's called Samola Construction.
Okay.
So I worked for these guys for, I don't know, about a year. And then I transitioned to like the sales side. And the minute I started selling, it's like, that's when I found what I knew
That was your thing.
that's what I was going to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Like I just knew it was something I was so good at. Like just talking to people, I was comfortable just like going into strangers' homes and helping them out. And it was a fun job. Like still to this day, I think this is the funnest job you could possibly have.
Yeah.
You know, having 2 or 3 appointments, going to homeowners' houses and having fun and laughing with them for like 2 hours a day.
Yeah.
Or, you know, 2 hours an appointment, and you go to the next one and the next one. So I get to like share stories and laugh with people for 6 hours a day.
Yeah.
It's a great job. And then you get to get paid for it too. So I think that's very important, is you got to find something that you're passionate about too, man. Because, you know, I would do this. I tell people I would do this job if I made $100 grand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I just enjoy doing it.
So when you started the business, I mean, you've built it into a very, very, very successful business. Did you come from money?
No.
So what was that like when it started to really hit? When you were like, holy shit, this is another level of, I mean, we were just sharing some of our hobbies and they're not cheap. So like to do some of the stuff that we enjoy doing, like, especially when you don't come from money, which neither one of us did. Like, what was that like when you first started getting to that point? You're like, I'm making this is insane money.
Yeah. I think, man, I'm a little different than a lot of people. And I think that's kind of what's worked out for me. It's almost like a perfect storm of things.
Yeah.
Like I've never really cared about money that much, you know, never.
Yeah.
So I've never, ever been driven by money, and I could really still could care less.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not really like that fancy of a guy. You know, the watch I'm wearing right now, I had to be talked into it by our mutual friends.
By Devin.
Yeah, Devin kind of pushed me into it. He goes, you got to do this, man. Once you reach a certain level, you have to have this. And I go, all right, like, yeah, if you think so, I got it. But, you know, the money, I think if you do things for money, and I've even heard people talk about this on your podcast, man, seem like people recognize this, especially like entrepreneurs, very successful entrepreneurs. Mind you, there's always going to be like an outlier. There's always going to be like guys out there who, you know, maybe swim upstream a little bit different, that did it for money and made it. But what I've noticed is follow your passion, man. If you do something that you just enjoy doing, you're naturally going to be good at it.
Right.
Like how many people are out there like cooks? They don't really want to be cooks. They just went from a line cook to like a chef, and they didn't really want to do that, but you know what I mean? They're probably not gonna take like extra classes and culinary classes and you know, be like looking up new recipes and like really get into their career. Because they probably don't really care about it that much. You know, so I feel like if you just have a passion for something, whether that's like, I know you came from like the marketing space. You know what I mean? So coming from the marketing space, and then kind of going like an adjacent media thing, maybe it's just something that you really love. But for me, it's like, I loved selling, man. I loved selling. I loved talking to people. And so it just made sense. Once I found that position, I think I was the luckiest guy in the world. Because if you can find what you love super early, I mean, dude, the biggest asset we all have is time. That's it. So even in like how we were talking stocks, right? So just time itself, you know, it's not timing the market, it's time in the market. So just having all that time that you have to develop something that you kind of landed into that you thought was like meant to be, this is your purpose, and you find it at, you know, like let's say Jacob, right? He was one of your other guys, Jacob Godfrey. That kid is so young, man. What do you say, 28 or something?
Yeah, he's sub 30.
If you can find what you love at like 22, 23, 24, it's over, man. You're going to be the best at it. So I was 24, 25 when I started selling, and then I started my company, I was 26. So now I'm 37 now, but you know, it's kind of...
Yeah, it's interesting. I love people don't want to talk about money, and I've always found that interesting because if you don't have a lot of it, we're all still the same person. Like if you're broke as a joke, that's okay. If you're filthy rich, it doesn't, a lot of people are intimidated by billionaires and millionaires. We're all the same thing. I think what's interesting is some people are just wired differently to where they don't obsess over it. And I think that's where the root of like not wanting to talk about money, it's not appropriate to talk about money. For me, it's just it's a scorecard, and not like comparing how I'm doing to somebody else, but it's, you know, it's like, again, the watches that we wear, like you have to be successful to buy those watches. And it's not to rub it at anybody's face. It's just, it's a token, in my opinion, why I got into them a long time ago was that's a token of a measurement of my success to me.
1,000%.
Not to anybody else. But how you talk about money makes me think of, a guy that's really good at picking up chicks versus the guy that wants to have a girlfriend, would love to take a girl home from the bar, but can never do it. And it's because the guy that it just happens, and that was not me, by the way, the guy that it just happens for doesn't really care, doesn't really try. He's just calm about it, and it just comes to him. I really think it's the same thing with money. And in years past, like when I built my first business that made me very miserable, I was 100% focused on the dollar. I wanted to get as rich as I possibly could, and I wanted to for the right reason. I wanted to help my staff. I wanted to treat my family. Yes, I wanted fancy things, but I wanted to do great things with it. But I was so focused on the dollar, it was so fucking hard to make that dollar. We got that business to a couple $1 million a year, and which is nothing, but to me it was successful, and I was so burnt out because all I was focused on was the money. I shifted over to what I do now, which I do a horrible job of talking about this on the show. For those that watch this and have no idea who I am, what I do, I am a real estate investor. We buy houses for cash.
Super successful real estate guy.
This guy puts our roofs on. So I found that business because I got so miserable in my other one. And yes, it's still about the money, but I am focused on so many other things that this business is literally, when I'm not exaggerating when I say it's 10 times bigger than my last business. Because I wasn't so focused on it. how you talk about money makes me think that it just comes to you because you're focused on what you love, which isn't the money piece, but what you love is a skill set that if you're really good at it, you can make money, and you're great at it because you love it.
I'll touch on that, man, right? Because the money thing. Money obviously is very important. I have a lot of people that work for me. We have a lot of people, a lot of families, and we give back a lot. So I think we probably, talking about money, probably give back about $500,000 a year.
Yeah.
So we do big turkey drives, we do backpack drives, we're doing a big Easter egg hunt this year. I think it's like 20, 30,000 egg Easter egg hunt. We love giving back, man. So you need money to do that.
Yeah.
So, but none of my meetings, like we never have meetings going, we need to make more money, guys. Like never.
Yeah.
So, but we're always innovating, always trying to like figure out an edge.
Yeah.
But this is basically what our meetings are. Is like we have a weekly meeting every Thursday, a sales meeting, and then we have manager meetings. And we'll go, hey guys, how can we make the customer's experience better? You know what I mean? Like, and then I'll ask my sales manager, what's the life cycle of like the homeowner? From start to finish, what's their experience? That's what I care about.
Yeah.
And the money will follow. There's a super famous saying by Bozo the Clown, dude. He goes, do what you love and the money will follow. He died a millionaire. He had clown college and, he did very well, but he just did what he liked to do. If you're passionate about anything, man, anything, you can make a business out of it. You know what I mean? No matter what it is. As long as if you love it, you're automatically going to have an edge on somebody, I think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So for me, I've always looked at money as a tool. That's it.
Yeah.
And there's a saying, and I think it's pretty true, man, about money. So it's only important. It's like air. Money's like air. It's only important if you don't have any. You know what I mean? If you don't have any, you don't really think about air at all. You know what I mean? But if you don't have it, all of a sudden it's the most important thing in the entire world. You know what I mean? Same thing with money.
That's crazy.
It's only important if you don't have it.
Yeah.
So once you do have it, you're like,
yeah.
All right. You know what I mean? Like it kind of it exaggerates the person that you already are.
Yeah.
So if you are a giving, loving person, you know what I mean? Or, you want to help people out, you want to give people opportunities, and then you come across a bunch of money, usually it just exaggerates those personality, traits that you have.
For sure.
So, if you're, I don't know if you can cuss on here.
You can say whatever the fuck you want on here,
If you're
brother.
an asshole or something, you know what I mean? Or you're mean or you take advantage of people and you have more money, now you're just going to be that times 10. You're going to be more of an asshole. You're going to be this arrogant guy. So I've personally never seen anybody do something strictly just for money and then it pan out and be huge.
Yeah.
Sure, I'm sure there's outliers out there, man, but I'll look at it strictly as a tool to make more money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As a tool to buy more homes or to start another business or to help people out. You know what I mean? So I look at money a little bit different. It's obviously it's great to have it. You know what I mean? It's security for the kids. That was my biggest thing is I just didn't want to have to worry.
Right.
You know what I mean? I didn't want to have to worry about, security for me is probably the most important thing.
Do you have bad days?
Of course. Everybody's got bad days, right?
But I've never had a conversation with you to where you're in a down mood. I'm sure you get heated, but you seem like, and I could be wrong in saying this, but you seem like the type of person that, we just talked about a scenario where you lost a lot of money on something and how you talked about, now it's kind of like laughable now, but the way you explained it.
Yeah. I got a bunch of those, man.
You seem like you just approach it with, all right, well, let's move forward and make it and do better next time. Am I on?
Dude, this is why you're good at what you do, right? So we're segueing into the next thing is I think it's super important who you find as like a partner.
Yeah.
Right? So I am the most optimistic guy. You hit it on the head, man. I am like the most optimistic guy in the world.
Yeah.
I trust everybody. I think everything's always going to work out. You know what I mean? Any business I ever started, I never had a thought that it could fail. You know what I mean? Like never. I'm like, of course it's going to work out. What are you talking about? You start businesses and they work, right? Like I
love that.
Never had a thought that it was never going to work.
Yeah.
But my wife, right? She is the most pessimistic person in the world, but it works out perfect, man.
Yep.
That's why I think we're segueing into, I think what the most important decision of your life is is probably who you decide to spend the rest of your life with.
Yeah.
So me and Lisa, I have to give her a lot of credit too, man, because she helps me tremendously. Have you ever read the book Rocket Fuel? Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
Yep.
That book describes me more than any book I've ever read.
Yeah.
Because you have a visionary and an implementer.
Yep.
And I just got diagnosed with ADHD like 4 days ago.
Okay.
Right? Maybe that makes sense because I'm like all over the place.
Yeah.
I have like 100 ideas a day and I put them on paper and I have trouble implementing them or like making them turn into reality because I want to do all of them. Mm-hmm. So now what I do is you have to have an implementer.
Yeah.
So I'll take them to Lisa, my wife, and we'll go over the 90 things and, she'll go through them and we'll maybe implement 4.
Right.
You know what I mean? And she's really good at the risk. So because I don't look at money, man, I think like a lot of other people, like I don't want to say I don't value it, but it's just there. You know what I mean? Like it'll be more, it will come. I'm young.
Yeah.
I'll make more. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
If I didn't have Lisa, I'm like the kind of guy will go put like $100,000 on black. Like I take every risk that there is because I don't think I'm gonna fail, man. I trust.
When did you realize this
everybody.
about your wife that she could be used as that asset? Was it very early on? Was it recently in the business?
I would say it was probably like maybe 2 years in.
Okay.
So maybe 3 years in. Lisa, man, I owe her a lot of credit because I was all over the place. I had so many ideas. It was chaos. I had a organized chaos, I like to think.
Yeah.
I have like folders everywhere. I have 100 contracts, but I know where they're in. I know they're in order.
Yeah.
And then Lisa, she was working at her job, in the healthcare industry for like maybe a year or two.
Okay.
While I had Ultimate Roofing. And then it made too much sense for her to come and help. Mm-hmm. The business was starting to do very well. I needed like an office manager. So, I asked Lisa, she, thank God, decided to join, organized everything, you know what I mean? And just all of my ideas, everything that I wanted to do, she really compliments me, man, in a way where, I'm taking all the chances.
Yeah.
And in her life, she probably would have never taken any of them.
Yeah.
Because she has that paralysis by analysis. You know what I mean? Like she will go through all the pros and cons and she'll
you're ready to just
she'll
move.
weigh a decision for months and months and months and then still never make a decision. I make decisions in seconds.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So she didn't talk to me for a week when we bought our first house. Mm-hmm. So the house in Nutter Fort. When I started my company, I was driving around in a Corolla giving estimates to people. And I was telling homeowners my first year, driving a $13,000 car, and I'm showing up to homeowners' houses telling them, I'm going to be the largest roofing company in the state. Like I just knew it. I knew I was unbeatable at that time, man, because I was just so optimistic and I knew what I wanted that it was easy for me. So Lisa, what is it? Lisa, where are we going with this?
She didn't talk to you. She didn't talk. It's all right. She didn't talk to you for a week.
Oh yeah,
so a Nutter Fort house.
So then I was renting this house in Nutter Fort.
Okay.
So I was renting this house in Nutter Fort, and then all of a sudden, like my landlord calls me, and she's like, "Hey, I'm thinking about selling it." And I go, "What were you going to sell the house for?" She goes, $60,000. And I think at the time, we had like $62,000 in the bank account, right? So I go, "I'll buy it." And I just literally met with her, and I wrote her a $60,000 check. And that was it. We bought the house, my very first house.
That's
paid
incredible.
Cash for it. And she didn't
without
talk to me.
Lisa knowing. Just did it.
Yeah. Well, I was like, this is going to be a good thing. We're not going to have to rent anymore. Just to me, it's always going to work out. It's going to make sense. So I bought it. She didn't pay for it for a week. She's like, this is a bad investment.
Yeah.
This is buying houses is dumb. But it was the analysis, for paralysis thing.
Yeah.
It was such a huge move for her that she would have just never done it on her own. So I think that's why we complement each other so well, because she's at places that she would have never been without me. And I'm also vice versa. I would have never been where I am now, probably without Lisa.
You have a trait that is the exact same as me. And a mentor of mine a long time ago described it. And he was like, "You're ready, fire, aim." He was like, "You don't overthink. 80% is good enough. I know enough to be dangerous. I'm going to move." So he calls it ready, fire, aim. And that's when you say you make decisions in seconds. I think that's our superpower, and it's having somebody to balance it out. I've had to get really good at being a visionary and an implementer.
That's tough.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, in a former business, I've had other partners, and they weren't the yin to my yang. Like, it just didn't work.
Most important decision, man.
Yeah.
Who are you going to do things with?
I personally have not had my wife come into my business. I was in business for myself when she met me, but what I love about my wife is she'll keep me grounded. So I can come home and be like, hey, I made, $175,000 on this one deal today. Doesn't phase her one way or another.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, are you going to wash the Asher, our son, are you going to wash his bottle out? Like, it's nice because it also keeps me from getting too like, man, I'm freaking killing it right now. So she helps me in that capacity and is always very supportive of what I do. But I love hearing that story about how you and your wife have built what you've built. So this show is about overcoming adversity. Go straight to it. Tell me, and I'm sure because I've learned there are multiple times that people like us have adversity. There's never just, sometimes there's one main story, but I feel like with you, you handle them with such, I don't even want to say grace because it's not grace, but you handle them with such intensity that you move past it and it's in the past quick. Tell the audience, what's something really hard that you have encountered in your professional career, whether it's with Ultimate Roofing or whatever it is, stocks, real estate. What's something that you had that would knock a normal person back years that you were like, I'm going to figure a way. There's more money to be made. I'm going to move past it. It might not even be monetary. What's something hard that you've overcome? Let's put it that way.
This is one of them, because I think, not all of us are born, man, with the knowledge of like accounting and, how to run a business and leadership. And it's stuff you got to learn. I think you can be like naturally good at certain things, which I knew early on. I knew I was going to be an entrepreneur, man, from being like 10 years old. Now, I try to get my parents to invest in a fence company.
Okay.
So, I think I was 12, and I had a business plan, and I go to my mom and dad and I go, hey guys, listen, I'm going to make a lot of money here. It's a great return. It's a great business. I've checked the competitors in the area, and I was like 12 years old. My parents go, it's cute, but we're not doing that. Right? So awesome. It made sense, but I knew I was always going to be an entrepreneur. It's the stuff in between, man. Figuring out like accounting for me is like not my strong suit.
Yeah.
But like marketing and branding, I feel like I'm pretty confident in that. We get to the money side, and we're about 6 years in. Mind you, I'm pretty proud of this. So I'm going to say the last year we revenue wise did about 20 million.
That's
so
crazy.
Yeah, well, the roofing side is doing incredible now. It's a huge team. I love it. Early on, I'd say about 5 years in, I'm selling roofs for less than half of what I'm selling them for now. Less than half. Mm-hmm. And I just had me, another salesman, and then Lisa on the team. And we start reconciling accounts. We get a new accountant. So we had a kind of a lower level accountant. We get a newer accountant, very sophisticated. The guy goes, I went through all your paperwork. I would like to tell you this in person. It was like horrible news, right? Like,
this isn't good.
Like when the doctor's like, hey man, we got to talk to you. Come in. I'm like, oh no. It was very scary, man. We go in there and the guy tells us that we're like in the hole, like $600,000, man. And I go, oh wow, that's terrible. How did that happen? And he goes, well, you guys are selling, at such a low rate. Your overhead exceeded what your gross profit was, and you thought you were making money, and because deposits still keep coming in, so it looks like there's always money in the account. And it was a problem, man. So we really rallied together. It was me, Lisa, and at the time it was our first salesman. It was Mike, and we just said, listen, the one way to guarantee our failure is to quit.
Yeah.
It's going to guarantee it, but I go, if we push through this and we sell our way out of this, we raise prices, we figured out where we needed to be at margin wise, and we just sold ourselves out of that hole. And I think how
long did that take?
About 8 months to get out of about 600,000 with just me and another salesman.
All right. So let's pause on that for a minute, because I think, again, I want people that listen to this that might consider themselves average and they're not happy with where they're at.
Yeah.
that is such an incredible example of what's possible. $600,000 is
$600,000.
That's a life savings for some people. For somebody to fathom getting out of a $600,000 negative balance in 8 months is insane. But you fucking did it.
Didn't have a plan B. You know what I mean? So plan B was to make plan A work. You know what I mean? Like I didn't have a fallback, man. So
I love that.
That was it.
Yeah.
So I go, we have to make this work. I'm not a quitter. You know what I mean? Nothing I'm going to start is going to fail. So
were you scared? Like, you're such a high energy, happy, smiley guy. Was that the energy through that time? You're like, hey, guys, we're gonna crush this. Or were you terrified?
There was maybe like an hour or two where you go like, is it possible? You know what I mean? Like, is it possible to even get out of this? When is debt owed? When are loans gonna get called in? Like, is it possible to even get out of this? And then I know that there's a solution to every problem. You know, and you could think your way out of things. You could sell your way out of stuff. So we just really figured out the plan, what we needed to do, where we needed to be at, where we were going to like hone in our marketing dollars. And we sold ourselves out of that hole. And I've been in that position a few times in Ultimate Roofing. I mean, I've taken high interest loans out personally, almost like a cashier check place, you know what I mean? Like to make payroll, you know what I mean? It wasn't even that long ago. We had a really rough winter like 3 years ago. And it cost me $1 million to stay in business, just to stay in business through the winter. So, I think it was November, December, January. So 3 months, I had to shell out $1 million just to stay in business. And it was when the last time I pulled money from the line of credit was the last line of credit money we had. That was it. So if winter lasted 2 or 3 more weeks, would have been a major problem. Payroll would have started bouncing. You know what I mean? It would have been a problem, man. But these are I guess you'd have to handle stress very well. You know what I mean? So it's just, again, I'm a very optimistic person. Yeah. I know no matter what, Ultimate Roofing's going to make it through it, even if we have to take a step back to take 2 steps forward, I would do that. If I had to reduce something down or sell one of my rental properties or something. Yeah. But that's early on. That's the struggle to get to where we are now. Now we don't have that problem anymore, thank God. So we're like our own bank now. So we're doing very well. We diversified into a lot of other businesses, thank God. So we have different revenue streams. We're not just beholden on one thing. All right. So I think we've financially have made great decisions in Ultimate Roofing to kind of secure its health for a long time, man. Forever.
That's such an incredible story, and it is a prime example of massive problems are a indicator of someone's success. Yeah. Obviously. Now, if somebody goes and murders somebody, that's a pretty big problem, not an indicator of you are successful. But new levels, new devils. Yeah. I don't know who said that, but I heard that, and I've always chased that. I want bigger and bigger and bigger problems. We have them all the time. And I can tell you right now, the more successful I get, the bigger my problems are. $1 million problem, you're not going to have $1 million problem if your business isn't doing a lot of volume and is successful. Yeah. You might think, well, he had to shell out $1 million. Like, he wasn't successful. You have to get to a certain level of success before you can have problems of that size. So I think that's something that for anybody that listens to this show that is aspiring to be successful, you want to get to the point to where you have bigger and bigger problems, but just understand that is a benchmark of, okay, I've got to this level. It's not just going to be a smooth ride to the next level. That's why when you see, charts and graphs of what success looks like, it's like this, it's not like this. It's one problem. If you're good enough to overcome that hurdle, you're going to accelerate up. But then at the top of that incline is another massive problem that you're going to have to overcome.
And it's so hard to not try to force growth too, man, because you want to get there so fast. Yeah. So many people look at me, and it's funny, guys who've been in business a long time, you know what I mean? Or they've achieved so much, you know what I mean? To look back and people go, oh, you must be so lucky. You know what I mean? Or like you fell into that, or man, it must be nice. Yeah. And I always look at it either like a layer of sediment on like a mountain or like a layer of paint. Mm-hmm. So for painters out there, I think it's 1,000 coats of paint to make a 1 inch high little cube, right? So, and people don't look at all the work that it took to do that. You know what I mean? So all the layers that I always say is like 1 year is like a layer of sediment, man. And then another year and another year and another year. And then you're just on this mountain built on years and years of work and effort. And people go, wow, it must be nice. You know what I mean? But you're standing on all this time and effort and work that you put into something.
It's the difference between somebody staying in their safe place, which to most they're miserable in. They have adversity, but they've stopped at that adversity, versus somebody that got out of their comfort zone, overcame that hardship. But again, that's not the last time you're going to have hardship. So the next time you're met with it, it's like, okay, this is my next test. My sister-in-law, I love her to death. It took her a long time to pass her board to become a dental hygienist. She didn't fucking quit. And I am so proud of her from that, because she doesn't come from a family of entrepreneurship. Her family was very similar to mine. Her school teachers, my parents were school teachers. You don't always get put into situations in that environment with that type of a makeup as far as like family background, to where people talk to you about like, hey, you can't quit. You've got to overcome this, because 9-to-5 jobs, yes, everybody has hard things, but like, as long as you show up, you're going to get paid. In our line of work, we don't. So seeing my sister-in-law, who graduated and it took her 2 years to get past this, like, she easily could have quit. Smart girl, pretty girl, could have gone and done 100 other things. She didn't quit, and she just passed her board. We just found out this past week, and I haven't even talked to her about it yet because I haven't seen her. But it reminded me so much of some of the shit that I've dealt with and you've dealt with that nobody else in her family can relate to, because they haven't necessarily been met with this thing to where you're like, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to overcome this. And she did. So for anybody that's listening to this, like, it might seem small, like a test that you can't pass. Overcoming that small piece of adversity is your test, to where, like, when you do it, understand, like, I just made myself better than the former version of myself. And you've done this 1,000 times. And so when people hear like you were $1 million in debt because you had to float your business, it's probably safe to say like you've made that up in spades.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. It's Ultimate Roofing does, again, very well, man.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So Ultimate Roofing's great. I'm in a great place. It's people want it so fast. You know what I mean? Just how you said 2 years it was your
Sister-in-law.
Yeah,
Yep.
that was trying to get it. 2 years is nothing, man. And I think the generations now, it's getting worse.
Yeah.
You know, with you have these long form, podcasts and stuff, and then it just goes down to nothing. Now you're in 10-second reels. People want it so fast, and you're not gonna get it that quick, man. You're not.
No.
And it's gotta be slowly built, organic growth. You know what I mean? I tell people we can inject steroids, money into a business. You know what I mean? Let's dump, instead of this year, I think our marketing budget's $2 million, right? It's a lot. But imagine if I did 4 million.
Yeah.
And I go, I'm going to do 4 million. I want to get to $30 million this year. But we're going to force it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Production department's not ready for it.
Right.
The office staff can't handle that. Crews aren't trained enough. We don't have properly trained guys to go out there and handle 100% double the business that fast. I mean, it's just, you would start getting bad reviews. You wouldn't be able to have consistent customer experiences.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta go slow.
Yeah.
And it's just a slow process to get there. Everybody wants it fast, man. That's the problem.
Yeah.
You gotta really slow it down. And myself included, even though, I'm not a money-driven guy, I am huge on goals. Anybody who's listening, man, you gotta have goals, and you gotta write them down.
Yeah.
And that vision board and that, manifesting is real, 100%. It's real stuff.
Yeah.
So, I early on in that 410 Ohio, probably shouldn't say the address, and Nutter Fort, my house in Nutter Fort, the big whiteboard I had mini goals, little goals that I would meet monthly.
Yeah.
And then I had yearly goals. I had a 5-year plan, and I still, to this day, we have monthly goals, sometimes weekly goals. It's because you want to see incremental growth,
100%.
man, that you want to see. I remember the smallest thing that I can't believe how happy it made me when I was younger, when I started the company. one of my small little goals was I wanted a King Ranch truck so bad. That's all I wanted. I want a King Ranch truck so bad. I loved it. And I thought it was the coolest thing.
Yeah.
Going from a Corolla,
Right.
you know, I never really had a really nice vehicle. So having that down there, I had that truck within probably 4 or 5 months of writing it down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And everybody in my company laughs, man. If you go to my office, I have whiteboards everywhere, because I like to see it, man.
Yeah.
I like to see the goals.
Yeah.
You know, I got all my real estate. I got all of them. I think we're at like 63 homes now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And duplexes and apartments and stuff. And it's like, I look at the board every day.
Yeah.
And then right next to it, I have the amounts. You know what I mean? And every time I go in there, I go, I'm going to put a little bit more towards this one and then this one. And then we just pay everything off. But I see it every single day. I'm looking at it. Or the sales board, you know what I mean? Every day. This month's goals is $1.9 million is the goal for this month. You know what I mean? We're going to crush it. But every time somebody walks in there, they see it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think putting your goals down on writing them down and visualizing them and seeing them every day is incredibly important, 100%. Man, because you got to work towards something.
Yeah.
And if you're not working towards something, then you're just kind of existing.
Yeah.
You have nothing to really balance anything off of. Like, hey, did I have a good month? I don't even know.
Yeah.
I hit 400,000. What were we trying to hit? You know what I mean? What was historical goals? Like, you got to write it down, small incremental goals, at least so you know you're hitting things.
Yeah.
I think it's very important, man. So
I agree.
Early on too, make all your mistakes early. You know, because they say lessons cost money, good ones cost more, right? So when you do have companies like, you know, the size that we have now, making a big mistake, man, can cost a lot of money. Yeah. You know what I mean? If you're doing $20 million and you make a bad commercial, you know, we just did a roof that was like $270,000. Make a mistake on that. You know what I mean? Like, that's going to cost a lot of money. Make all your mistakes early on. Make them early and don't make the same ones twice. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's okay to make mistakes. It's part of the process. It's the learning curve.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? It doesn't make you not smart, man. You know what I mean? I can go to McDonald's right now and try to like work the cash register. I'm not going to know how to work it. Doesn't mean I'm, you know what I mean? Doesn't mean I'm dumb or something. They can't work a cash register at McDonald's.
Yeah.
There's just a learning curve to it. You know what I mean? You got to figure everything out. So once you figure it out and you make all your mistakes early, don't make them again.
Right.
You can make mistakes, just don't make the same one twice.
Yeah, it's great advice. I think last thing I'll say, because you talk about goals, everybody hears the word goals, and I've started to refer to them in the last 5-10 years as I don't have goals, I have targets. And the difference is a goal is that thing that everybody tries to set once a year and most people forget about them. People like you and I, what we're referring to, because I have the same thing. I have it in spreadsheets. I have it written down. I have it on Post-it notes. These are things that I have as 3 years, 12 months, 90 days, and things I got to do this week. Those are my targets. And the difference is I can't miss my target. If I miss my target, there's a consequence. A goal is like, one day I'd like to have a massive house with, all this land and whatever. That's a goal. To be able to achieve your goal, you've got to have targets that you're going to hit to get you closer, which is what you're referring to. And I've never talked to somebody that's extremely successful that does not have those things, those targets.
Me neither.
Or as you refer to them as your goals. So, man, we got to have you back on for another episode because you and I could sit here and talk.
Can we not make it like 2.5 hours, man? What's up?
No, we need to.
40 minutes. We got a lot of stuff to uncover.
We need to do an episode and get our guy Devin on here too because.
Oh man, that's gonna be a long one, dude.
We might have
if we had you and Devin, we could knock out like a 3-hour-long podcast.
We might just have to set up a camera and do like a Facebook Live and just go live. But there's not being where we're at. There's so many awesome people and successful people. Not everybody's wired the same way to where they're just total sickos like you and I, to where I love talking about this stuff. Yeah. Personal development. You find those at conferences. And then when you leave that conference, you come back to your hometown, your home environment, and you realize that like 1% is wired like you. So when you find those people, I do my best to try to stay attached to them, which is why, we met a few years ago and I've always been drawn to you and same thing with Devin. And a lot of the people we've had on this show are wired that way. So, we definitely will have you back on, and we'll do something a little bit more long form. But man, I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah,
Dude,
no worries,
You're
man.
incredible, dude. Your story, your personality, like you're such a good person, and you give back to the community. Like you've done not only in business, but like you've got a wife and kids, and like you're an awesome human being. So if this is the first time somebody's discovering you, I encourage them to check you out, find you on social media.
I appreciate that, man. You're a great guy too.
I'm always cheering for you, dude. It's awesome to hear a little bit more about your story.
It's very, very rare, man, to find people like us too. How many business owners do you know? I know hundreds.
Yeah.
Hundreds. I could probably count on one hand guys that I know that are hyper super obsessed with what they do. And, it's like you, one of them, Devin, I know like Ray's one of them.
Yeah.
These guys are just,
we're hard people to be friends with.
Yeah.
And
my circle is so small.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like 2 or 3 guys.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to you got to find guys that can match your energy
100%.
level also, man.
100%.
I appreciate you, brother.
dude.
Yeah. Anybody that wants to check us out, you know, Ultimate Roofing.
Yep. Social media, Ultimate Roofing website.
Get Ultimate Roofing. You can .com. So, you find us anywhere, but yeah, give us a call. I mean, that with the ultimate equipment, the rentals, the properties, so the tree service. You guys ever need anything, let us know. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on, brother.
Appreciate you, my man.
All right, man.
That was fun.
Heck yeah, dude. That was great. That's probably one of my favorite episodes.
You gotta have a longer one, dude.